I guess what year were you born?
1947. My parents were incarcerated initially at Manzanar relocation center. That's where they met, and that's where they got married. My grandfather on my father's side, he lost everything. By late 1966, I was in Vietnam. This is, you know, they'd stand you up in front of the guys and say, this is what a gook looks like. A lot of guys had never seen an Asian before. Well, even when I was in Vietnam, other members of my platoon didn't even know that I was an American. You're fighting an enemy that kind of looks similar to you. And to me, I had the utmost respect for them because, you know, they didn't have the technology that we had. And yet, they're holding their own against us. Like, as an American soldier, I felt like, you know, I'm just in the survival mode. They're fighting for their ideals. The Vietnam War, the way the media portrayed it, it was like this great communist takeover of Vietnam, and it was going to spread throughout Asia, you know, eventually take over the world kind of thing. I think for the Vietnamese people, it was like a civil war. I think the United States at that time, they were trying to establish some sort of government there. But I think once as a combatant there, as an American soldier there, those ideals about fighting communism or whatever, all that went out the window when you discover that, hey, why are we here? This is a civil war. This is a dispute between, you know, the Vietnamese people. Not why are we injected in this thing? You know? And then during the Tet Offensive, we got word that that camp was overrun, and that was, you know, to me that was just amazing. Initially at the Tet Offensive, I was on an operation. They picked us up by helicopter. They landed us in this airfield, put us on a plane to go into Saigon. When I had come into country, Tan Son Nhut was a very secure place. When we landed there and they were walking mortar rounds in the airfield, we saw them, you know, exploding, following the airplane. And we went, holy shit, what's going on? You know? But, you know, that was the Tet Offensive to me. This is all pure survival. Right when I was in the middle of the stream, then there was, you know, a sniper opened fire on me. And I remember the water, one of his rounds hit the water in front of me and splashed me in the face. And the next thing I knew, I had somehow jumped to the other side and taken cover. They asked me if I was hit because, you know, there was multiple shots. I was so scared at that time. I said, you know what, I don't know. And then I looked back to see how far I had moved in that split second. And I thought, whoa, I must have broad jumped the world's record or something, you know? I remember one time we were on a forced march, which means you march day and night, you know, you try to get to a certain area. We hit this brush that had thorns in it, and some guy almost had his eye poked out. In the morning, one of the guys, they get up, you know, they're gonna go to the bathroom. They get up, they're yawning, and just maybe 10, 12 feet away, he sees this other guy yawning, but he doesn't recognize the guy. And it's actually a North Vietnamese soldier. You know, they're both looking at each other. And then after that, all hell broke loose. They used to have these things called punji stakes. You know, they were there to kind of wound you or maybe even kill you. At the end of these stakes, you know, they would be sharpened and they would put, you know, human feces there, you know, so it become infected. So I stepped in one. I was lucky because it was kind of rotted. You know, a few days later, I'm feeling kind of feverish. And you know, we don't take baths or anything. We're out there for like a month at a time. roll up my pants and my calf is the size of my thigh.
Wow.
From infection. A lot of times you just see, body parts and stuff like that. I found a lot of guilt when I was there. When I came back, I thought, I would like to do something that would kind of, maybe express what I'm feeling, but, I'd like to help people too. Every mistake, there's something positive. At least you learn something. I think that's the attitude I took. The U.S. abandoned a lot of their allies there. Realistically, I knew that they couldn't get all the people that were on their side and, evacuate them or whatever. But, I think it was